Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about the contribution of Maqasid Sharia to financial stability and macroeconomic gains. Before that, it is necessary for us to understand the basic concepts that underlines within this topic. They are divided into three terms, which are financial stability, macroeconomic gains, and Maqasid Sharia. These are the questions that will be answered to fully understand this topic. Without further ado, let's get started. The first question is, what is the overview of Maqasid Sharia, financial stability and macroeconomic gains?
Generally, financial stability is defined as the capability of strengthening economic processes, managing risks and absorbing shocks. Financial system is in a range of stability when it is able to absorb financial imbalance that develop either on their own or as a result of significant unfavorable and anticipated occurrences. Usually, shocks are absorbed by self-correcting mechanism in a system that is stable. Stability in the financial sector is essential for economic expansion as majority of transactions in the current economy are conducted through the financial system. Meanwhile, macroeconomics is referred to as the study of the functioning of economies on a more global scale. So, macroeconomic gains is a term which refers to the progress or benefit that the country achieves in the economy as a whole, such as an increase in GDP, gross national income (GNI), lower unemployment rates and so forth. For your information, the indicator to measure macroeconomic gains is financial stability. This is because the macroeconomic gains mostly measure the production output in the market, or GDP, GNI, inflation, unemployment rates and other things that require a lot of financial support in order for the economy to run smoothly. Hence, it can be seen that the measure of the country's macroeconomic gains really depends on the financial stability of the country as it requires a lot of funds. Now, let's look at the discussion from the Islamic perspective. In Islam, every Sharia rule has its own objective or rationale, which is what we call as Maqasid Sharia. It is meant to protect the interests of the public, which is maslahah, and prevent wrongdoings, which is mafsadah. There are 5 fundamental principles of Maqasid Sharia, which are protection of religion, protection of life, protection of lineage, protection of intellect, and last but not least, protection of wealth. Any actions that can protect these 5 principles are allowed, and actions that can cause harm are forbidden. In Maqasid Sharia, there are 3 types or levels of maslahah, which are daruriyat or necessities, hajiyat, which is complementary, and tahsiniyat, which is perfection. Maqasid Sharia promotes financial stability and macroeconomic advantages since it aligns with daruriyat, hajiyat, and tahsiniyat in safeguarding life and wealth. Establishing a financial system in macroeconomics falls under daruriyat since it is necessary for the government to manage the economy. Hajiyat and tahsiniyat aim to complement and develop the nation's economy by ensuring a stable financial system. It protects life and wealth because government economic actions impact employment. The economy can't operate properly without a proper financial system. Unemployment and unsteady economy reduce household buying power. They couldn't afford food and rent, human basics.
The second question is, what are the importance of Maqasid Sharia in financial decision? Now, we will explore the importance of Maqasid Sharia in financial decision. Technically, Muslims are encouraged to manage their life economically and financially in order to accomplish the goals of Maqasid Sharia that would offer prosperity and pleasure to each individual of the Ummah. With decent financial planning, it will provide a better direction and meaningful financial decision. This will lead to great financial security, which will make sure that a person's life is in a good shape and has a bright future. Next, we will discuss the importance of Sharia in financial decision. First, it is to ensure the circulation of wealth in the market is justice and duly managed. To achieve justice, one must begin with the right to earn wealth and own property. One must abolish the rural-urban area disparity and practice equity or balanced distribution of income. Also, Muslim must conduct his Islamic way of life with balance and avoid the extremists. No extravagant spending is practiced and always wisely manage the wealth. The second one, Maqasid Sharia is important to achieve broad communal prosperity where all individuals in the society are able to satisfy the basic material needs by attaining personal satisfaction. The wealth must be accessible to society's members and make it possible for everyone who deserves to own it. Besides, the guide of Maqasid Sharia also to ensure the continuity of the investment of wealth. Investment should be able to break the shackles of poverty of humankind. Humans cannot solely rely on faith without putting up their best effort to earn a better life. Investment is also encouraged to prevent the wealth from being wasted and idled. For instance, Prophet Muhammad SAW commanded the investment of orphans' property in a responsible manner so that the wealth will not lose its value. In addition, Maqasid Shariah is important to assist the right and ethical manner in financial dealings and avoiding activity that is prohibited and destructive to individuals and society. The transaction must be free from ambiguity and uncertainty. All prohibition elements that may destroy the transaction must be abolished and avoided. For instance, the prohibition of riba. To be added, financial dealings must be transparent in any transaction. Transparency is the main crucial factor in providing financial literacy and consumer protection. Therefore, these are all the why Muslims must take into account the guidance of Maqasid Shariah in financial decision or dealings to protect the decision from damage or unlawful. The third question is, what are the contribution of Maqasid Shariah for financial stability and macroeconomic gains? All scholars, jurists and usul experts agree on the fact that protecting and preserving wealth or the economy in general is one of the Shariah's primary goals alongside the protection of religion, life, offspring and intellect. The concept of protection of wealth not only goes on its literal meaning but it also encompasses encouraging people to generate, accumulate, conserve and distribute the money in a decent and equitable manner. Islamic finance is one of the crucial systems that play a significant role in order to meet the goals of Shariah. Islamic finance refers to financing activities that adhere to Shariah. Islamic finance is really helpful to maintain wealth circulation in the market through exchange and economic transactions and to avoid any forms of monetary monopoly in the hands of a few people. As we know that Islamic finance is complies with the Shariah law. Therefore, Islamic finance strictly prohibits interest or usury in all transactions. Interest rates destabilize the economy as it relates the economic ups and downs to interest rate rise and fall. A high interest rate generates great uncertainty in the investing market. The primary objection to interest is that it is a prominent component in the instability of interest-based economies, which includes recession, expansion and recovery. In the production and investment sector, the interest system allows money to flow to the rich, who can pay back the loans, while the poor have to deal with rising commodity price, which is bad for any economy. Therefore, the eradication of interest in all types of business activities is one of the Shariah's most essential financial goals. Under Islamic law, there are two types of interest that are strictly forbidden: riba al-nasiyah, which is interest on borrowed money, and riba al-fadl, which is literally earnings or excess from exchanging or selling goods that are worth more than the goods given in exchange. According to the Shariah, both sorts of riba make business transactions unjust. It offers wealthy people an easy means to increase their fortune while undermining the rest of the community. Thus, Islamic finance plays an important role to prohibit any transactions that includes riba in order to achieve financial stability. Besides, Islam wants to set up a good economic system that puts social welfare, economic fairness, and fair income distribution at the top of its list of priorities. One of the ways Allah SWT wants to reach this goal is through zakat. After praying 5 times a day, zakat is the third most important thing in Islam. Zakat is a form of charity that can help us to purify, grow and be blessed by our wealth. In the Noble Quran, the order of giving zakat is often mentioned in relation to prayer since both mean cleaning and purifying. Purification can be done in two ways. First, by ridding the heart of the bad traits of stinginess, greed and the need to own things. Second, by giving up some of one's money which will grow with God's help. Zakat is one of Islam's economic strategies for eradicating poverty as commanded by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Distribution of zakat shows that the effectiveness of the allocation of resources that can help needy people or those who are eligible to receive zakat. When those people receive zakat, they can spend the money to fulfill their needs. Once their basic necessities, daruriyat, are fulfilled, they will be encouraged to fulfill hajat needs by living in a comfortable house and eating nutritious food. Indirectly, once they spend their money, this shows that there is an increment in demand, thus production should also increase. This can lead to a rise in the job opportunities and a reduction in the unemployment rate. Hence, this will lead to macroeconomic gains.
Next, I'm going to continue the discussion, and the question is, what are the impact of contribution of Maqasid Shariah in financial stability and macroeconomic gains?
Now, let's take a look at the contemporary issues that happened, which is the pandemic COVID-19. We all know for the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic has severely impacted us in terms of health and financial. Poverty rate has also increased as the Movement Control Order (MCO) has been enforced in Malaysia on 18 March 2020. The world and Malaysia economic has seen a dramatic fall in terms of GDP, GNI, and increase in the unemployment rate. Hence, the government has started to plan an expansionary fiscal policy whereby they take action to address the recession in the economy. For example, the government has announced stimulus program Prihatin Rakyat Economic Stimulus Package or Prihatin worth RM250 billion, which is equal to 17% of the country's GDP. The main goal of the package are to protect the people, help the business community and strengthen the economy. It helps out both B40 and M40 household to gain money, and also for the rest of Malaysian, there are lower electricity and phone bills, incentive for frontliners and places to get cash. The package has stuck to help businesses and make the economy stronger. Several actions have also been done by non-governmental organizations, NGO and civil society. From there, the charity keeps going. The Prime Minister said that each member of the cabinet will give the equivalent of 2 months' pay to the COVID-19 fund. Religious groups and institutions have also started to raise money for COVID-19. The Musaadah COVID-19 fund, which was started by the new Minister of Religious Affairs, Datuk Dr. Zulkifli Mohamed has gotten a lot of attention. He said that the fund has always included people who are non-Muslim. Now, let's talk about how Islamic finance help SMEs. Islamic financing scheme like Murabahah, Mudarabah and Qadrul Hasan could be used to help SMEs to get money. Since buy and sell model with equal payment is easier to manage and keep track of, the Murabahah plan should be the best and most acceptable way for SMEs to get money. Comparatively, the Qadrul Hasan and Ijarah program are easy to run and give SMEs the capital, equipment and lease equipment they need. On the other hand, scheme like Mudarabah and Musyarakah can help SMEs get a lot of money because they can share the risk. In theory, depending on how risky the SMEs are, different schemes could be used for different things. Islamic finance meets the need of some SMEs because it emphasizes on sharing risk and lets some financial instrument be used without collateral. By giving more money to SMEs, the Islamic financial institution could help the economy grow even more.
The last question is how Maqasid Shariah relates with Sustainable Development Goals.
The primary goal of Sharia law is to make life less difficult and more comfortable for people. This objective may be summed up as facilitating ease and removing suffering for human beings. For this purpose, the methodology and structure of the Sustainable Development Goal are very consistent with the fundamental principle of Maqasid Shariah. The Sustainable Development Goals and the Maqasid Shariah have many of the same goals, including the elimination of many types of deprivation such as lack of sustenance, healthy living, decent education, social position and equality. In a same vein, one of the goals of both Maqasid and the Sustainable Development Goals is to ensure the continued viability of the world nature resource through the protection of the sea, the water supply, the energy supply, in addition to the promotion of the economic growth, industrialization, the safety of the city, cooperation among all people and sustainable consumption pattern.
After we understand the relation of Maqasid Shariah with Sustainable Development Goals, let us try to relate the Sustainable Development Goals with financial stability and macroeconomic gains.
Financial stability and macroeconomic gains are interrelated with Sustainable Development Goals 8, which is promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth, employment and decent work for all. As for financial stability, Sustainable Development Goals is not just about economic growth. It's also about making sure that wealth is shared fairly among states, region, income group while also protecting the environment. There is no question that having a stable economy is important for long-term growth. Stability is the most important thing at this point, and financial stability is a must for achieving economic growth. Moving on to the macroeconomic gains, once the community has reached financial stability, it can also achieve economic growth. Economic expansion is a major indicator of economic success. Although it does not directly analyze sustainable development, it is an important indicator of economic and developmental component, including consumption habit. Scholars of Sharia believe that Sustainable Development Goals 8, which interprets decent work and economic growth, can be regarded as an output of human evolution chains once all of the goals that came before it has been accomplished. To further clarify, after humans have ensured that they will have a decent lifestyle, which include education, safety, food and drinking water, power and also medication, people will begin to think positively, which will drive production and ultimately result in economic progress.
In conclusion, the Maqasid Shariah is one of the major principles of Islamic jurisprudence, and it is one of that Muslim scholars turn to most often in order to choose the most appropriate judgment to put into practice.
The significance and goal of the Maqasid Shariah are of a broader nature in that they can serve as a guideline and criteria for the establishment of an Islamic state by ensuring that its economic, social and political policies are consistent with the principle of Shariah.
The implementation of the Maqasid Shariah in all aspects of life may lead to the development of beneficial characteristics as advised by the teachings of Islam.
The tremendous rise of Islamic banking and finance has had a beneficial influence on the Islamic economic system development because of the indirect effects of this expansion.
As a result, achieving financial stability is one of the important characteristics that must be accomplished to successfully achieve the economic benefits in macroeconomics. Thank you for lending your ears until the end. We hope that this video will give you some input regarding this topic. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.